Hey, Democrats, Republicans, and everyone in between. You ready to see the other side of the two-sided coin that you never get to see on CNN and the other mainstream news and the social media outlets? Whether you know it or not, President Trump was recently live on national TV for the CNN town hall. I was excited about this opportunity because I felt it would allow people that watch CNN to simply um, hear the other side of what they never hear about normally on CNN because they're not allowed, because it goes against the one-sided narrative that is pushed to the unsuspecting viewer. And if you paid attention, I was right. You see, if you watch CNN regularly, you hear how Donald Trump is a white supremacist, a racist, a liar, an election denier, a leader of the January 6th insurrection, a rapist, a president that was impeached twice, and so much more. But here's the truth. President Trump speaks the truth and is not a white supremacist. He's not a racist. He's not a liar. He's not an election denier. And he's definitely not a leader of the January 6th insurrection or any of those other things you hear about him. In fact, you will find that he loves America and its people greatly. So much, in fact, that he stopped personally being involved with his real estate empire and other businesses to go against the completely corrupt government swamp to run for president of the United States in 2015 to be elected in 2016. And because of that decision, Trump went from being loved by Hollywood, rappers, and everyone else to being called everything bad under the sun, and they are still doing it today. They want him to remain out of the White House so bad that they will do anything to keep him out, including lie, cheat, steal, and so much more. It really is horribly sad what they continue to do to not only President Trump, but every member of his family, including his children and his grandchildren. Because of what the entities has done, from the Democrats all the way through the mainstream news and the social media and more, he is willing to set his family and business aside to try to save America and make America great again by running for president of the United States in 2024. So I hope you will listen to all of my comments, realize what is going on in America and around the world, and realize America needs President Trump back in the White House in 2024. Please do America a favor and vote for President Trump to be your next president of the United States. And not only that, vote Republican all of the way down your ballot in 2024. Do not vote for any Democrat, okay? That's a big problem. Now, finally, if you haven't realized it already based on what you see happening in America right in front of your eyes, please understand that this is not a game. It really isn't. This is very, very serious. And voting for anyone else except President Trump and Republicans will be the worst decision you have made ever. You already see what the Democrats have done to America in just 2 years. Think about how it will be in 6 years. Mark my words. If you vote for President Trump in 2024 and vote Republican on the rest of the ballot, President Trump will be able to make swift changes legally. Now, what do I mean by legally? Legally meaning he can do it through without doing vetoes and all this other stuff and executive orders. He can do it through the House and the Senate. And that's pretty awesome. So you want to do that. But he'll make changes legally to make America great again, because the Democrats will not be able to stand in the way with doing so. The reason President Trump will get a lot done, including fixing the border and breaking apart all of the three-letter agencies that are completely corrupt, and hopefully prosecuting all of the criminals and so much more, is simply because President Trump is no longer new to being president. And he's not new to being a politician. Remember, he was new to all of this. He now knows how to get the job done. So make sure you vote for President Trump in 2024, as well as Republicans all the way down the ballot. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here right now regarding this town hall. And I'm going to go over some of the things that they say after they say it, so I can give you my 2 cents on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and share this screen right now.
Good evening. We're live here at St. Anselm College for CNN's Town Hall with former President Donald Trump.
It's a trap.
Your polls show that you are dominating the Republican race right now.
By the way, before we get going into this, I want to thank Mr. Reagan USA. Give him a shout out for this cut. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe to his channel. He's an awesome he has great information on there, and this is one of the examples of his information. So please shout out to Mr. Reagan USA, his YouTube channel. Check him out. Okay, here we go.
Now, but you are also under active federal investigation. Your first term ended with a deadly riot at the Capitol, and you still have not publicly acknowledged the 2020 election results.
That was a rigged election. If you look at the FBI, if you look at the FBI and Twitter, they call it Twitter files, made a big difference. If you look at
Mr. President, back to what you just said there, though, it was not a rigged election. It was not a stolen election. Can you publicly acknowledge that you did lose the 2020 election?
Let me just go on. If you look at True the Vote, they found millions of votes on camera, on government cameras. They were stuffing ballot boxes. So I think it's a very sad thing for our country. Our country has gone to hell. Our borders are bad. Our military has been bad. What's happened to inflation, it's just destroying our country. It's very sad what's happened in this administration. But we were energy independent. We were getting out of Afghanistan with strength and with dignity. And instead we got out, we looked like fools, probably the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
We have a lot of questions about the economy and foreign policy tonight. But what you just said there, Republican officials debunked those claims.
Who?
Republican officials in Georgia and every single state.
Give me a break.
We wanted to give you a chance to acknowledge the results.
We have elections that were horrible. People going to 28 different voting booths to vote, to put in 7 ballots apiece.
But Mr. President, I have to stop you there because there is no evidence of that. Your own election officials testified to that and have said that. We have questions about the claims that you're making tonight from voters on this topic.
Will you suspend polarizing talk of election fraud during your run for president?
Yeah, unless I see election fraud. If I see election fraud, I think I have an obligation to say it. The answer is yes, and I hope that it's going to be very straight up, because if it's going to be straight up, we're going to win the election.
So you will suspend talk, to his question, about the 2020 election on the campaign trail?
I guess we're going to just win. We're at a point now, we're getting so close. Let's just win it again and straighten out our country.
One other question on this.
Owned.
You once suggested terminating the Constitution. Do you stand by those comments?
I cherish our Constitution, but we have to live up to the Constitution. We weren't living up to the Constitution.
I was just saying there's no evidence of that election fraud. You did once tweet.
You're supposed to say that, but I'm glad you say that. But look, that was
truth,
a horrible election. Unless somebody's very stupid, and I know you very well, you're not stupid at all, but you perhaps are given an agenda, or you have an agenda. And we have millions of people pouring into our country. And now they're getting rid of Title 42, which I put on, which kept people out that were sick and
Mr. President, we have a lot of questions about immigration to get to tonight. Do you have any regrets about your actions on January 6th?
So that is the little section about the election, the 2020 election. Okay. Now, later on, you'll probably see things on CNN where they had a group of people and they were saying he was lying and lying, and they were saying that he should stop talking about the 2020 election. They're the ones that asked the question first off, right off the bat. Are you going to deny? Are you still going to be a 2020 election denier? That's crap. Okay, that's crap. So here's some other thoughts I have on that. Okay. Okay, so right off the bat, they asked about the 2020 presidential election, right? You see it right there. Okay. Now, my 2 cents. So, what happened to an election day? First of all, in regards to an election day, it should be an election day, not election week, not election month. What the heck is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We have an election day. Let's get this done on the same day. Let's get the results before the end of the day, right? So another question is, why in the world did they put up cardboard on the windows? So if you notice, if you remember looking back at the election, they put cardboard on the windows so the people of the United States could not see what the heck is going on. That means obviously they are covering something up. They don't want people to see things. Okay, here's another thing. And if you reach back out to me, I can show you receipts. I can show you videos on exactly all of this stuff. So it's not election disinformation or whatever they want to throw out there. Number 3, the machines were shutting down all over the United States. Magically, these machines that should be ready to go to be able to record the votes, to be able to count the votes, they're shutting down. And the people that want to vote on election day, which is a lot of Republicans go in and vote because they don't trust the mail-in ballot system and all of this stuff. Okay, so they go in to vote, and that is the right of the American people to go in and vote. And they get there and they can't vote because magically the machines were shut down. They should have these suckers ready to go. All right. Now, they not only went from one location to another location, some people had to go to 2, 3, 4, 5 different locations to vote. Are you kidding me? So what would happen with that? Well, guess what? First of all, if you stood in line to vote and then you get there and the machines just shut down, you go to another location and it's shut down, it's going to make you not want to vote. So that's going to lower the amount of votes. And like I said, it's not the Democrats. Most of the Democrats do mail-in ballots, okay? It's the Republicans that were told because they want to vote on the day of the election to make sure their vote counted, and they couldn't vote or they got discouraged to vote. That's a problem. Now, here's number 4. In Georgia, after they sent all of the observers home in Georgia, why were the people counting the ballots allowed to not only magically pull box after box of ballots from under the table to count with no observers present, but run the same ballots through the same machine, counting the same ballots multiple times? Come on. Okay, when you talk about election interference, putting cardboard up, sending observers home, pulling out boxes of ballots, and then counting the ballots with no observers there, and then counting, they count them, fix them again, put them back in the machine and count them again on camera, ladies and gentlemen, on camera. That right there, the reason President Trump talked to Georgia is because of that problem, okay? That should not be happening, okay? There needs to be observers there. They need to be able to see what the heck is going on. The observers were not even allowed to look at the darn process. They had to stand 6 feet away. You can't see anything 6 feet away. It is a bunch of crap. Now, my theory on voting this time in 2024, what they should have, first of all, in the presidential debates, okay, they should have the debate wherever you want, but they need to have one person that leans right with the Republicans and one person that leans left with the Democrats, asking all the candidates questions and taking turns. Okay, that way we don't have this one-sided BS about a Democrat leaning person asking the Democrat little fuzzy questions, but the Republican gets hard questions and gets interrupted and slapped across the face verbally all of the time. That is not what we need. So not only that, with the election, I hope to God we can vote on paper, no machines, and we need to have counting of the ballots and everything. Everything needs to be with high security. That's what we need to do. These machines need to be just gone. Hand count, high security, and we'll have a more fair election. That's my thoughts on the election. Now, so let's continue here. So we were talking about number 5. How did the votes literally flip overnight? I literally remember there was a certain amount of votes. Trump was ahead, and then Biden was behind, or Clinton, whatever it was, Clinton. And then all of a sudden, whoop, Trump lost votes. And magically, the votes, those same votes, so Trump went negative on votes. Let's say you had 1,000 votes. Well, he went down, he only got 800 votes. And then now all of a sudden, Clinton had 200 more votes. That was literally what happened. You can see the flip, and that's documented in video and it was recorded on the news channels. Okay, so do your own research on that. Now, last thing about the election. Watch the documentary called The 2,000 Mules. It shows people bringing ballots after ballots to multiple ballot, drop-in boxes, ballot harvesting, okay? Basically, bringing multiple ballots and just dropping them off, okay? And anyway, watch the documentary. It was a lot of research done, tracking, utilizing GPS tracking, all of these people that were going to multiple ballots and just coming back again and again, multiple ballot drop-off boxes, okay? So that's part of it right there. So let's go ahead and continue with listening to what this crazy woman has to say, okay?
One of the big problems was that Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy as I affectionately call her.
You're crazy. I'm not. No, I'm not.
Crazy Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington were in charge, as you know, of security, and they did not do their job.
They're not in charge of the National Guard. You're in charge of the National Guard.
Well, I offered them National Guard. I said, we'll give you soldiers, we'll give you National Guard, we'll give you whatever you want, and they turned me down.
You're
and in
acting
fact,
defense
she turned me down.
secretary.
She turned me down in writing. They turned me down.
But why did it take you 3 hours to tell them to go home?
I don't believe it did. Oh, let me pull it out. I have to pull it out.
This is what we call receipts, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the problem with the Democrats, okay? All they do is give mistruth and lie after mistruth and lie. But what President Trump is doing right here is showing documented proof of when it was said and what was said. It is unflipping deniable. Let's listen to this.
If you look January 6th, this is before 2:30. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. This is right after, as it was happening. What happened is they took it down. I don't know why. I think they took it down because it was so good. They didn't like it being up there. I am asking for...
So the reason they took it down is because at the time, Elon Musk wasn't the CEO of Twitter, okay? At the time, it's all about narrative. If you say anything bad about Trump, it can go on all the social media, it can go on in the mainstream news, it can go on YouTube, everywhere, big tech, everything. But if you say anything good about Trump or truth, of what's really going on or have an alternative opinion, okay, that gets shut down. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump, all these tweets were taken down by Twitter. So the people could not see the tweets. All right. They were taken down immediately. Then, not only that, they actually closed the President of the United States Twitter account down. And Republicans and a lot of people were just banned from Twitter, banned from YouTube, banned from Facebook. This is what we call mis and disinformation. This is basically communism, socialism. We're in bad, bad trouble. One thing I want to mention about this information, anything you say, whether it's misinformation or not, that is called free speech, ladies and gentlemen. A lie is free speech. It is not the government's job to dictate what is truth or no truth, what is good information or bad information or disinformation or whatever, okay? The words go out there and the American people can make a decision on what they want to believe, which direction they want to go, and that's the big problem, ladies and gentlemen. On the news, on the social media, big tech, everywhere, it was all one piece of information, and that is wrong. Okay, even if it's a lie, people can make their own dang decisions. Okay, do you honestly believe the American people are that dang stupid that they can't have information? That's the problem. We need all of the information so we can make our own darn decisions. And when they don't put the information out there, what happens is the people are misled. They're all thinking, man, I don't want to vote for someone that wants to do January 6th. You know, and by the way, I made a mistake. I realize now, you know, it doesn't matter. The election, whether it was 2016, 2020, and it was 2020, it was against Biden, okay? And it wasn't against Hillary. But the bottom line, the truth remains the same. These are the facts of what happened, okay? So if people are getting misinformation and they don't hear the other side of the coin, even if it's a lie, they don't have all of the information. So obviously that right there is going to sway the election results. People will not vote for a white supremacist, a liar, a guy that believes in the January 6th insurrection. It's not the truth. The truth is what I'm telling you, and I can back it up with videos and documents, but I can't put it all here because the video will last 5 hours. Okay, so let's continue.
For everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. We want no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. That was at 2:30.
Obliterated.
When it was clear they weren't.
See, ladies and gentlemen, if you want law and order and you want peace on the streets and everything, vote Republican. President Trump did everything he could to try to keep peace. And everybody was peaceful, to be totally honest with you. Okay, you're going to find out if you look at the videos, you're going to find out January 6th, it was a setup, ladies and gentlemen. They actually opened up the doors, let people in, invited them in, and it was just a mess. Okay. The bottom line, what they're saying happened on January 6th on the news media is not the truth. And now, thank God, Elon Musk, the new CEO of Twitter, that believes in free speech, he's released all of the videos, and there's 11,000 hours of video from the January 6th, quote, insurrection. Okay. And now you're not lying on the video. It's there. So we don't need to, oh, this is what the Democrats said. No, we want to see the dang videos of what really happened, and it's being exposed. And now you see the truth. Thank God. And you'll see more truth. If you vote for President Trump and Republicans, you're going to get the real truth of what the heck is going on. A heck of a lot more than what you're getting right now. You're getting no truth of what is going on. It's all for the Democrats to maintain power, to get money. It's all about money, power and control over the people of the United States and the world, to be honest with you. Okay, that's what they believe in. And if you don't want to be controlled and told what to do and have your guns taken away, and you don't want to have your free speech taken away, you need to vote Republican all the way down your ballot. All right.
Being peaceful. Why did you wait 3 hours to tell them to leave the Capitol? They listen to you like no one else. You know that.
They do. I agree with that. But
So why didn't
Nancy
you tell them to go home
Pelosi,
sooner?
Nancy Pelosi and the mayor are in charge. I assume they were able to do their job. They weren't.
But
And
Pelosi's
it kicked
not in charge of Capitol
And if you remember,
security.
I made a video, and I'm very proud of that video. I didn't have a script. I don't need scripts.
You see this? She interrupts him, and you'll see over 100 times interrupting the man. Okay? She says, Mr. President, Mr. President. She has zero respect for this man. And she should have tremendous respect, because he is a man that loves America and loves its people. But she keeps saying, oh, Nancy Pelosi isn't in charge. 3 of the 4 people that are in charge regarding all of this January 6th stuff reported to Nancy Pelosi. It is her fault that there might not have been something as far as protecting the Capitol and everything else. It's her fault. National Guard was authorized. National Guard was in the area. It's all coming out there. But guess what? She didn't do it. Why? Because she wanted to set this man up. Okay, she wanted to set him up so he can get impeached, so he can get in trouble, go to jail, whatever the heck, and have this tarnish him so he can't run for president of the United States. You know, one thing I want to say about this man, if an average person was investigated this much, they would have found something, man, and put him in jail or something. It's amazing to me how they have not found anything about this regarding this man to stick, because it's all lies. Everything from the Russia disinformation and Russia Spygate, they actually spied on his campaign for real in 2016. They spied on his campaign 2015, 2016. Okay, they actually altered documents. And this is facts, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know it, it's because you're busy watching the mainstream news and you're not watching alternative thinking, because the bottom line is, thank God they let Trump on here, because he has the other side of the coin talking about it. And that's why we're able to do this. Because normally you hear just negative about Trump and all positive about brain dead Biden. Let's continue.
It's like a certain person that's in
What
there right
time?
now.
The video.
End of quote. Repeat the line.
We have to have peace. Please.
Look at that guy. That's Joe Biden reading from a script, and the script said repeat the line. He wasn't supposed to say repeat the line. He was supposed to say the line again. Yeesh.
Please go home. I said that.
Referring
You know
to
what
the
they
law
did?
and order there,
They took
Mr.
that
President.
down, and you know, to this day, it hasn't been put up, and they've never put it back up. They had another one that they did the same
But that
thing.
video that you referenced there, it wasn't posted until 4:17 p.m.
No,
In
here's
that
another
3
one I
hours,
posted.
over 140 officers were injured that day.
And a person named Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been killed. And that thug that killed her, there was no reason to shoot her.
Calling a cop a thug. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men.
And she was a good person.
Look, Ashley Babbitt was behind a barricaded door, and the man, that's why he called him a thug. He's behind the barricaded door and shot through the door and shot this woman. And she is a military veteran. All right? And on that day, she is the only person that died, and it was at the hands of a thug Capitol officer, unfortunately.
She was a patriot.
One
There was
person
no
who was
reason
there-
there was no reason. Right after the election, they all met, the rhinos and the Democrats, and they worked out a plan to make sure that future vice presidents don't do what I said you could do.
That's not what happened. You're referring to the Electoral Count Act.
That's
I've
exactly
read that. There is no authority.
No,
Legal
excuse
experts,
me.
including Republican legal experts, say that he does not have that authority, Mr. President.
Caitlin,
But I want
why
to move
did
on.
they change the law then, saying that you can't do it?
They didn't change the law. They strengthened the law because they were worried about
Oh, they
presidents
strengthened it,
exploiting.
meaning you could do it.
Destroyed.
That's not what it means.
Thank you. If you look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted now that the election was rigged. If
They
you
have
would have
not
sent
admitted
those
that,
votes
Mr.
back to
President.
many of those states, they would not come back in the affirmative.
Will you pardon the January 6 rioters who were convicted of federal offenses?
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one because a couple of them probably they got out of control, but I would say it will be a large portion of them. You know, they did and it'll be very early on, and they're living in hell right now.
So in regards to these protesters, these were people that were peacefully protesting. They had no idea about, hey, if the Capitol was open, they just walked the heck in, right? But they had no idea. So what they're doing, these Democrats have been doing since that January 6th day, they have been taking these people, putting them in, seclusion in prison and mistreating them and not giving it. You do not go to jail. You have to have the right to a fair trial. You have the right to an attorney, and they don't give them any rights at all. Okay, that should disturb you deeply. And that's the reason we say that the Department of Justice, the FBI, and all of these three-letter agencies are all completely corrupt. The swamp runs deep.
Now,
So when it comes
they're
to
living
pardons,
in hell, and they're policemen, and they're firemen, and they're soldiers, and they're carpenters and electricians, and they're great people. Many of them are just great people.
They said people were there with love in their hearts and then sort of conceded as an aside. Some of them got out of control, but said, I'm going to let the people out of jail who beat up cops.
The president suggested he might pardon many, if not all of them.
My God. Ladies and gentlemen, who the heck beat up cops? Where is the flippin' proof of beating up the cops? Okay? These people literally love America, and they came there to voice their concerns about the election, and then this is ridiculous. Okay? The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, the facts are all going to dang come out. The election was stolen. Okay? The election was stolen in 2020, period. Election was stolen.
You survived January 6th. I think it's really important in this moment to champion the voices of victims. And as someone who is a victim that day, how does this all feel to you?
What we saw on January 6th was a dress rehearsal. Why else would you pardon people who perpetuated a terrorist attack on the United States Capitol?
You know what? They talk about this, but they don't talk, these Democrats, she's one of them, brain dead Democrats, okay? They don't talk about the millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars destroyed from all the riots, okay? All the riots, destroying, taking over city blocks. Are you kidding me? Burning everything down. Now that is bad, okay? And that is all done on the left, the Democrat side, okay? They tried, there is so much in regards to that, and I can go on, but the bottom line is January 6th really was nothing compared to what happened during the summer of love.
Other than to support the person in a potential effort to do it again. This is a profoundly dangerous moment.
he also called the January 6 rioters great people and promised to pardon large part of them. How dangerous is this rhetoric, Liz?
Is incredibly dangerous.
Does that include the 4 Proud Boys members who were charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their case, but I will say in Washington, D.C., you cannot get a fair trial.
See, the bottom line is, at least President Trump is willing to say, I'm going to look at it. All right. And he's going to find out that they did nothing wrong, probably. But he'll look at it. That's the good thing. That's what you want to hear.
You cannot. Just like in New York City, you can't get a fair trial.
You can't get a fair trial in the swampy areas.
Did you know that you could get $50,000 to over $150,000 of investment capital?
Sorry about that.
Manhattan jury found that you sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll and defamed her. You've denied this. But what do you say to voters who say it disqualifies you from being president?
Well, there aren't too many of them because my poll numbers just came out. They went up. Okay.
Obliterated.
I don't.
See? Anything. They want to do anything they can to make him look bad and not be able to run for president. It is all that's all they want to do. Keep him out of office. Horrible. They'll do anything. Lie, like I said, lie, cheat, steal, whatever it is.
I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, a very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African American. Called him an ape. Her dog or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wasn't allowed to put that in. All of these things, but with her, they can put in anything. Access,
this
Hollywood,
was a jury
put in
of
anything.
9 people.
Just so you understand. Ready?
Wait for it.
I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I
think of it.
I know you're recounting what she said, but Mr. President.
But let me just, if I could, because you asked the question.
This was a
just
jury,
so you understand,
though.
if I was walking in at the bar, because I was very famous then, if she was being raped, and by the way, they said she wasn't raped, okay? That was her charge. She wasn't.
They found that you sexually abused her.
What? Say what? They did. They said he didn't rape her. And
They did
I
not
didn't
say
do
that you
anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President,
I don't know who this woman
can I
is.
ask you?
We had a horrible Clinton-appointed judge. He was horrible. He allowed her to put everything in. He allowed us to put nothing in.
Mr. President,
See how she keeps interrupting? How disrespectful, right? But look, in the court system over there, which is where they have to do it, because anywhere else they would do a real, you'd have a real judge and they looked at the real facts and they would make a real decision. But over there in the crazy psycho land of Washington, D.C. and New York and all these left-leaning judges, they let the left-leaning people, which is the Democrats and her, put whatever they want in the case. But when they want to have the documents to prove otherwise, they wouldn't do it. And I saw this interview of this lady, and she's a little bit dingy, to say the least.
We're recounting your version of events here right now to the audience.
I have no idea who the hell. She's a
Mr.
whack
President,
job.
you did not testify in person. You defended the comments that you made on that Access Hollywood tape about being able to grab women how you want. Do you stand by those comments?
I said, if you're famous and rich or whatever I said, and I said, women let you. I didn't say you grab. I said women let. You didn't use that word. Women let you. Now, for a million years, this is the way it's been. If you're a famous person, if you're a star, and I'm not referring to myself, I'm saying people that are famous, people that are
you were
stars,
asked in the deposition,
people
do you
that are
consider
rich,
yourself to be a star,
people
and you
that are
said yes.
powerful, they tend to do pretty well in a lot of different ways, okay? And you would like me to take that back? I can't take it back because it happens to be true. I said it's been true for 1 million years, approximately 1 million years, perhaps a little bit longer than that.
So you stand by those comments?
Well, I don't want to lie.
Mr. President, we have a lot of
here's what she wants
Mr.
me to say.
President, let's
a
get to
rich
the
and
audience
famous
questions
person
tonight.
has no advantage over anyone else. Well, you do have an advantage. And I say unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
You said fortunately or unfortunately,
well,
but Mr.
fortunately
President,
or
we have a lot
unfortunately
of
for
audience
her.
questions to get to tonight.
What is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost?
So we're going to talk about the cost of everything right now. You know what? It's horrible that people can lie about people and get away with it. There should be a law that if someone lies and they're found guilty of lying, that they should suffer consequences.
To make things more affordable.
Drill, baby, drill.
Still Snoop Dogg and D.I.
We created the greatest economy in history. Here's the story. They made energy so high, and energy is all invasive. It is massive as an industry and as a cost. It lifted everything. If
Mr.
you
President,
if you made donuts, if you made, no matter what you did, and we had inflation, the likes of which I guess we haven't had, as I said, for 52 years, but I think more than that. We had no inflation. We had the lowest energy prices we've had in decades. This country was rocking and rolling. And by the way, we had the most secure border in the history of our country.
Mr. President,
and now we have
more questions on the economy.
What do you think about the United States' current debt situation, and how can we move forward?
If they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do a default.
Look, regarding the economy, our economy was great even during COVID, and it would have been awesome right now because President Trump believes in creating jobs in America, having our own energy in America, creating everything ourselves. We were a net exporter of energy before Trump left. The immediate time that President Biden, if you want to call him that, came in that day, that week, he stopped everything, okay? And that's why our economy is a mess. That's why he had to tap into, he has to beg Iran and everyone else to, give us oil, whoever, all the countries to give us oil. And, oh, will you please charge us less? Are you kidding? If you're begging for it, I'm going to charge you more. And then they had to tap into the reserves, okay? And that's horrible. The only time you should tap into reserves, which we may need it soon if we go into World War III, we're on the verge of that, is during war. So he shouldn't have ever touched that. But we were a energy net exporter, and now we're begging other countries for oil and energy.
Because we're spending money like drunken sailors.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you think the U.S. should default if the White House does not agree to the spending cuts Republicans are demanding?
Well, you might as well do it now because you'll do it later. Because we have to save this country. Our country is dying. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people, by very stupid people.
You once said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the Oval Office.
That's when I was president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
It's time for me to get set up for therapy, and I use this room as my office.
So
but the
bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Okay? He tells it like it is. I mean, you should appreciate that. Telling it like it is. Why did you do it? Because I'm not president. Bam, just like that, right?
Spending $7 trillion on, much of it on nonsense. $7 trillion on nonsense.
We've got
and
another
I actually
question
said,
from a voter tonight.
Get all of that money that was wasted, and if they don't get rid of that, you'll have to default. I think if the Republicans hold strong and they say we want $5 trillion off, I really think the Democrats have no choice but to do it. And if I win, they're going to be doing the same thing to me in 2 years. I guarantee you that.
Mr. President, we've got another voter here tonight.
And they did that before.
Bobby Petrino has been waiting very patiently.
Sure.
He's a student at St. Anselm.
How would you act not only to defend our Second Amendment rights, but to restore rights that have been taken from us, such as, by example, recently the ATF's ruling on the pistol stabilizing braces?
It's not the gun that pulls the trigger. It's the person that pulls the trigger. And we have to protect our Second Amendment. You know, there's a certain country that had a very strict policy on guns, very, very strict.
Which country?
And, Brazil, okay? Brazil, very strict. And the killing was incredible. They were walking into people's homes and killing people. They had no protection. People went out and bought guns, and it went way down. The numbers went way down.
So basically, we need guns, and we need more people to carry guns. Why? I guarantee you, if someone was going to rob a bank and they knew everybody in the bank or everybody in a school, all the teachers, and everybody was carrying guns, they would choose not to go to that bank or that school. Okay? That's number one. Why? Because they're going to walk in and get killed. So unless they want to die, which most of them do, they're mentally deranged. Okay? Most of them want to die. But the bottom line is, even if they go into the school, everybody's carrying, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be shot and killed immediately by somebody. Don't have to wait for the police to show up. All right? While the police are on the way, people are getting killed, right? They're getting shot and killed. So having more people with guns. And not only that, our government is trying to overrun everything, just like he's talking about here in Brazil. because the city and the police and whoever else was going in and shooting people. And why? Because they could not protect themselves. So the Second Amendment is not just protecting yourself and your family from other people that wish to do you harm, but it's to protect you from a tyrannical government.
Because they had security. Chicago has the single toughest gun policies in the nation. All of those places are the worst and most dangerous places. So that's not the answer.
No new restrictions that you would sign if reelected, Mr. President?
How do you plan to appeal to women voters in New Hampshire who are concerned about the Dobbs decision and how states may change their laws?
Everybody that was president wanted to get rid and tried to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
You mean
for 50
Republicans?
years. Republicans. For 50 years, I was able to do it, and I was very honored to do it. But by doing it, things are happening that are very, very positive. And the way I look, I think it's very important to say this. I consider the other side to be radical, because the other side, under Roe v. Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical. They will kill the baby in the 9th month. If you look at that crazy governor of Virginia, the former governor, where he said, no, the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute the baby.
But, Mr. President, can we talk about what you would do if
these are the radical people. It's not.
See, she wants to change the subject because that is the truth. If you're for killing babies, then be a Democrat, okay? Not only are you talking about abortion early on, all the way through 6 months, 9 months after the baby is born, you want to talk about killing the baby? That is sick. So the bottom line is you should be against killing anyone, including an unborn child, period.
Not the pro-life people that are radical.
But if you are reelected and you're back in the Oval Office and you get legislation to your desk, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
It's a trap. What I'll do is negotiate so that people are happy. I want to do what's right, and we're looking, and we want to do what's right for everybody.
But what's right?
But now, for the first time, the people that are pro-life have negotiating capability. They could kill the baby in the 9th month or after the baby was born.
Here's what's right in my opinion, okay? Do not have sex. The decision should be made not to have sex unless you want to have, if you get pregnant, you want to take care of the child, period, okay? And people should wait to have sex. I know that's in a perfect world until you're married, okay? Now, I realize, that's probably not going to happen, but at the bare minimum, the decision should not be made, do I want to have children after you get pregnant? The decision should be made, do I want to have sex and maybe have a child or not? Don't have sex. Okay, that's really what it boils down to. Now, on the other side of the coin, let's say if you're raped or whatever, which is a very, very, very small, minute thing, maybe that needs to be looked at, okay? But the reality is 98, 99% of all pregnancies are not, they're done because of voluntary sex, period.
Now they won't be able to do that.
But I think this is a really important question for you to answer.
A lot of people said in 150 years, he's now the most consequential president because he saved so many lives. And I'm honored to have done it. And because of what I've done, we now have a great negotiating ability. That's what I do in life. I negotiate. We have a great negotiating ability, and I think we're going to be.
Remember, he wrote the book, The Art of Negotiation. President Trump did.
Able to get
but what do you mean
something done.
negotiating ability? Because the question that Republicans have, if they send it to your desk, would you sign it?
It's a trap. Some people are at 6 weeks. Some people are at 3 weeks,
Where's
2
President
weeks.
Trump?
President Trump is going to make a determination what he thinks is great for the country and what's fair for the country. We did something that nobody thought was doable. And other Republican presidents, they wanted to get it out. They also wanted to bring it back to the states. But bringing it back to the states is a less important issue
but that's why
than the issue
question
that we
about
just
a
talked
federal
about.
abortion ban.
Here's another thing. In regards to abortions, the Republicans believe in less government. The only time the federal government needs to get involved is when it absolutely has to. Other than that, it should be up to the states. That's what people miss, okay? The states should make the laws, not the federal government. Keep it a little bit more down in those, down to the states, not across the whole country. Okay. That's what people miss. They don't pay attention to the fact that the individual states need to make the decision. It's the same thing when the riots were happening. President Trump made the military available to stop these rioters, the National Guard. But it was up to the states to say they wanted to get them, and they decided not to, and that's what happened. Everything burnt down.
You did not say yes or no to that. You did not say how many weeks.
It depends what the deal is. Lindsey Graham's
You did not say
a good
how many
man.
weeks.
He's got an idea, and a lot of other people have an idea. And I look at all the different
And a lot of people
ideas,
will
and
be curious what your
make the right
idea is
decision.
on that. President Trump, we've got more questions to come for you tonight. We'll be right back in just a moment.
How will a Trump administration slow down the rate of migrants coming across all our borders?
Sure. A very fair question, especially since tomorrow is going to be a day of infamy. You're going to have millions of people pouring into our country right now at a level that nobody's ever seen before. These people are sick. Anybody that wants this to happen to our country, they're destroying our country. So we have enough problems right now. We have problems like we've never had in the history of our country.
But Mr. President,
our country is being destroyed.
The reason it's ending is because the health policy, the COVID era pandemic emergency is coming to an end. That's what Title 42 was. You put it in place because of COVID.
True, but
when it comes to big questions about what your immigration policy would look like, some of your Republican rivals have criticized you for not fulfilling the promises that you made, like finishing the border wall.
I did finish the wall. I built a wall. I built hundreds of miles of wall. And I finished it. And then I said, we have to build some more because there are areas where a lot of people are coming. You close up one and they come into another. And we started another 100 miles of wall. In fact, I said to my people, if we start this and don't finish it, and then we had a rigged election.
Okay. Regarding the border, first of all, we do not want all of these illegal immigrants coming in here anymore. They should go through the proper process. Okay, not just come through the border. Now, without a wall, obviously you have walls around your home, and those walls protect you from people outside. If you did not have walls around your home, it wouldn't be called a home. It would be called a party zone, a park, okay? Same thing with the country. If a country does not have a border, meaning we have to have the walls to stop these people from just coming across, okay, then it's not a country. It's just a suggestion. Okay, so we need the walls, and then we can talk about everything else. But, if the wall is not there, people can just come over, just walk over. Okay, and that's a problem. These illegal immigrants, unfortunately, are costing the American people, the taxpayers. We have to pay for health care, delivering babies. Everybody's sick. They're bringing over diseases, including right now tuberculosis that can kill you, and it's immune to our the shots that we get. It's immune. Okay, so imagine all the diseases, fentanyl coming across. There's child trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking, even people coming over and committing murders and all kinds of crimes. That stuff could be avoided just by keeping the people outside of our country and going through the proper process. All of this costs us money. It's killing people. We're talking about, they're even giving these illegal immigrants up to $800 a month, each one. And there's been over like 5 million people already came across the border that we know of. They've been released into our country. Horrible. And this crap has to stop, and it will day one when this man gets back into office.
Sorry to say it.
The election was not rigged, Mr. President. You can't keep saying that all night long.
And so
he can say whatever the heck he wants, lady.
Then they took over and they decided not to finish it. It would have taken them 3 weeks. A country has to have borders. There's never been anything like is happening to our country right now.
You built about 52 miles of new wall when you were in office, Mr. President. It wasn't the complete wall.
This is what she does.
This is the most extraordinary watch in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen,
he
built all kinds of new walls.
If there's a piece of wood laying down, they consider that a wall.
And there was fences, not walls, and he'll talk about it right now. These walls goes deep into the ground and they're very high, and it's not just some flimsy fence, but he built, in addition to the fences, he extended it to have a wall, and he replaced some of the fences with wall, and he realized he needed to do more. But guess what? Joe Biden, the day he came into office, he stopped building. He said, "Don't build the wall," and it was already paid for. He said, "Stop building the wall," and all of that stuff that was already bought and paid for, laying on the ground, it is now collecting rust and not being used. How is that for taking care of money that was well spent? Now it's wasted, being destroyed.
30-foot walls that go down 7 feet into the ground. If there was a little piece of wood sitting in the ground, they said, "Oh, he's not building a wall. We already had a wall." Because this is the game. They're a party of disinformation.
It's not a game, Mr. President. It's about 52 miles of new wall. One other immigration policy you had when you were in office.
I built new wall.
52 miles
for hundreds of miles.
CBP, Mr.
What I did is I
President.
replaced other wall that was laying down, rotting in the ground for 30 years. Some of it was steel that you couldn't even see.
Mr. President, it was only about 52 miles of new wall, but
This bickering is pointless.
moving on, another immigration policy you had was the zero tolerance immigration policy that separated families at the border. If you are reelected, are you ruling out instituting that?
Well, when you have that policy, people don't come. If the family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family. They don't come. So I know it sounds harsh, but if you remember they said I was building prisons for children. It turned out that it was Obama that was building the prisons for the children.
But would you re-implement that if you're reelected? Is that what you're saying?
We have to save our country, all right?
So it sounds like that's a yes.
No. When you say...
See, this is about messaging, okay? If the message right now is, hey, everybody come on over, you're going to just get in for free, you get all this, free healthcare, free hotel. We're going to take our veterans out of the hotels, by the way, take our veterans out, you can stay here, and we're going to give you free healthcare, free money, and everything else. Why? Because the Democrats want the vote. The Democrats want the vote. Now, once they get over there, they're going to find out that a lot of people don't believe that, they don't lean that way, and they're going to vote Republican. But anyway, it's about messaging. If you have the right message, the people won't even come in the first place. But then if you have the wall and they do come, they can't just climb that dang wall. They'll be stranded.
Say to a family that if you come, we're going to break you up. They don't come. And we can't afford to have any more. Our whole country is being destroyed. Millions of people are coming into our country. And you know what the number...
You heard her say this is not a game. You're dang right, this isn't a game. This is about our country, protecting our country, and protecting the American citizens. And not... There's been enough illegal immigrants come across our country to populate multiple states, to replace the population of multiple states. Horrible.
Is going to be, in my opinion, by the end of the year, not the 4 million that you hear and the 3 million and 2. I think it's going to be 15 million people. And in these people, they have no idea where they come from. They come from 129 different countries so far. 120, not just the 4 that we talked about.
Just to put a button on that, it sounds like what you're saying is that you're not ruling out re-implementing that immigration policy. I want to get to another voter. Caitlin Boissonneau is a student here at St. Anselm College.
How would you deal with the increasing threat posed by Vladimir Putin?
If I were president, this would have never happened. And even the Democrats admit that. And his pipeline would have never happened. A lot of things would have never happened. But this would never happen. And all those dead people, both Russian and Ukrainian, they wouldn't be dead today. We've given so far $171 billion. They've given, meaning European Union, they've given about 20. They're a little bit more affected than we are. They've got to put up a lot more money because they're taking advantage of us like every other country did. That's why I ended NAFTA and replaced it with the USMCA, Mexico,
But on
Canada.
this issue, Mr. President, would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky because, as you know, he backed me up with the phony impeachment hoax #1 when he said, the president didn't do anything wrong. So
that was
I happen
when you asked
to like.
him for an investigation
So I happen to
in
like.
exchange
Yeah,
for
that's right.
weapons.
And I was totally exonerated, by the way. Just a waste of time and money.
You were impeached over that. You were impeached.
Look at this crazy woman. The president was impeached because the stupid Democrats controlled the House of Representatives. Okay? And it's all about getting rid of Trump any way you can. Now, they impeached him, but they couldn't get him out of office because at the time, thank God, we controlled the Senate, and the Senate wouldn't get him out of office, okay? And they impeached him twice, and it's all BS. All of it is BS. He even released the phone call. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, no, not about what I think I said and what he said and she said. He said, here's the dang call. And you could hear it. Period. Done. End of story.
Cover that, but let's stay on topic here, Mr. President, because the question is, would you give Ukraine weapons
I was
and
impeached
funding?
by a crazy woman named Nancy
But the
Pelosi.
question-
Guess who's back? If I'm president, I will have that war settled in 1 day, 24 hours.
How would you settle that war in 1 day?
Because I'll meet with Putin, I'll meet with Zelensky. They both have weaknesses and they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be absolutely
Do you
over.
want Ukraine to win this war?
Ladies and gentlemen, think back. When President Trump was in office, the people stopped doing testing of missiles. There was no wars. Even President Trump walked across the North Korean DMZ. He had a great relationship with all these other countries and the leaders of the countries. Now we're on the verge of World War III.
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
Basically saying he would turn over Ukraine to Vladimir Putin.
I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win.
You know what I'll say? I'll say this. I want Europe to put up more money because they're in for 20 billion. We're in for 170, and they should be, and they should equalize. I got with NATO.
But I'm
when I
asking
sat
you
down,
about
I got
Ukraine
them
right
to
now,
put up
Mr.
hundreds
President.
of billions of dollars that they weren't paying under Obama and Bush and all of these other presidents. That's why they're able to help them fight the war because of the money I got. But I
let's
want
talk about
Europe.
what's happening in Ukraine,
excuse me.
Mr.
I want
President.
Europe to put up more money because they're laughing at us. They think we're a bunch of jerks. We're spending $170 billion for faraway land, and they're right next door to that land, and they're in for 20. I don't think so.
When you were in office, you said that you
This is a money laundering scheme.
respected President Putin. Do
Yeah,
you
I do.
still respect him today?
He made a tremendous mistake. He was a smart guy, you know. I remember I said he was smart, she was smart. They
What
said
was his
he
mistake?
said President Xi of China, right, is smart. How dare he say he's smart? Of course he's smart. And Putin made a bad mistake, in my opinion.
What was his
mistake? His mistake was going in. He would have never gone in if I was president. We used to talk about it there.
Do you believe that Putin is a war criminal?
Wait for it.
He's responsible for the deaths of thousands
Well,
of
I think
Ukrainian
this.
men and
I think
women
it's
and
something
civil
that
children.
should not be discussed now. It should be discussed later. Because right now we have to get a war. If you say he's a war criminal, it's going to be a lot tougher to make a deal to get this thing stopped. Because if he's going to be a war criminal where people are going to go and grab him and execute him, he's going to fight a lot harder than he's fighting, you know, under the other circumstance. That's something to be discussed at a later date.
Isn't it
Right now,
important
we
to
want
call
to
it
get
what
that
it
war
is?
settled.
The special counsel's investigation into classified documents that were
Sure.
found at Mar-a-Lago. Why did you take those documents with you when you left the White House?
I had every right to under the Presidential Records Act. You have the Presidential Records Act. I was there, and I took what I took, and it gets declassified. Biden, on the other hand, he has 1,850 boxes. He had boxes sent to Chinatown, where they don't speak even English in that Chinatown we're talking about.
Can I got to stop you right there
Nobody talks about him. They
because
talk about us. I didn't make a secret of it. You know, the boxes were stationed outside of the White House. People were taking pictures of the GSA of the various
I
people.
got to stop you right there,
that
though,
were
because the
moving.
Presidential Records Act, it does not say that you can take documents with you. It says actually that they are the
says you-
property of the
It says
federal
you talk,
government.
you
when
negotiate, you make a deal. It's not criminal, by the
It
way.
does not-
It's
it
the
does not say that you
Presidential
can
Records Act is
negotiate.
not criminal. Just
It
so
does
you
not
know.
say you can negotiate to
Just so
take the
you-
documents with you.
Can I tell you?
Did the president actually have, under the Presidential Records Act, a right of access and custody of these documents? That's never been litigated under the Presidential Records Act. They took everything from Mar-a-Lago except the chandeliers and the carpeting. I mean, they took hundreds of personal items, newspapers, books, clothing, for goodness sakes.
I think they were looking for documents
that would go back to January 6th. I frankly think that the Justice Department want to find evidence that would link President Trump to some kind of January 6th conspiracy. And I think they want to haul him off into court. And all this is designed to prevent him from running for president.
The government didn't find what they were looking for. There weren't nuclear secrets in Melania Trump's underwear drawer.
This is unprecedented. By the Constitution, the president has broad authority. He is essentially the executive branch to declassify documents.
I took the documents I'm allowed to. You know who else took them? Obama took them. Nixon took them.
Obama
Reagan
did not
took
take
them.
documents.
Oh, he didn't?
The difference here that I'd like
Take
to
a
know.
look.
The
Reagan
National
took
Archives
them.
says that President Obama
Even
did
Jimmy
not
Carter,
take
even Mike
documents.
Pence had some documents, and he's a
You
very
referenced
honorable
Pence,
guy.
you referenced
But you know who
Biden.
took them more than anybody is Joe Biden. He has 1,800 boxes.
That's
And
not
nobody
accurate,
even
Mr.
knows where
President,
they
and you
are.
know that.
1,800, and nobody talks about him.
Mr. President,
And they
that's not accurate.
and they put a rough guy on us, and they in the
I think
meantime
it's
they have
important, Mr.
nobody.
President, to actually set the record straight here. When they realized they had documents, they turned them back over.
She's a liar. Joe Biden has been in office for 40 years. He has documents going all the way back. So he waited to say, hey, we got documents after 40 years. And not only that, he is the highest he's ever been is vice president until now. And he wasn't allowed to declassify the dang documents. President Trump was, and President Trump just left office, and Biden's been in office for 40 years. No comparison, but once again, let's make Trump look bad. Mr. Orange Man bad.
The difference is that you waited to turn yours over, and it was a year and a half effort that included a subpoena, but you'd gotten a subpoena and they had not been turned over yet.
They didn't raid Biden's house. You know what happened? The vice president cannot declassify. He didn't have the right to declassify. He has documents from when he was a senator.
Finish her.
I went by the Presidential Records Act,
That's not
and
what
we
the
were
Presidential
negotiating
Records
with
Act
NARA.
says. That's not what it says,
And
Mr.
NARA has
President.
red flagged a thing called the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of
Constitution,
Rights
read it.
because they consider them
Mr.
dangerous
President, that's
documents.
not what it
Those
says,
are
and
the
I
people
should
we're
know.
dealing
And
with.
I should note that there is a special counsel investigating your document situation, also President Biden's document situation. Did you ever show those classified documents to anyone?
Not really. I would have the right to. By the way, they were
What do you mean, not
declassified
really?
after. Not that I can think of. I have the absolute right to do whatever I want with them. I was negotiating with NARA. Do you know what NARA is?
The National Archives.
Extremely
negotiate
left group
with
of
them.
people. Extremely left. And I was negotiating with
They're
them.
not
All of a
left,
sudden,
they're
they
bipartisan.
raided my house. They didn't raid the house of Joe Biden. They didn't raid Obama.
But Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like
Joe
you
Biden
did. And so
took
that's the question.
1,850 boxes.
But that's the question that
Let's stop right there again. He was negotiating with NARA, meaning they were saying, let's look at these. He said, okay. They said, let's get these documents in a specific area of Mar-a-Lago. He said, okay. He did everything. Everything was good. All of a sudden, they decided to raid Mar-a-Lago. See, anything, and then they're trying to find a problem instead of already knowing about the problem and, getting it and proving it and all this other stuff. They're just trying to hunt, just like they've been trying to hunt for everything else, and they haven't been able to find a dang thing regarding President Trump.
investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
You
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you
Fatality.
Can you answer why you held on to the documents?
I was negotiating, and we were talking to NARA.
Evil
They can have
people.
whatever they want. Everybody knew we were taking those boxes. And the GSA, the government service, the GSA was the one taking them. They brought them down to Mar-a-Lago. We were negotiating with NARA. All of a sudden, they raid our house. When Biden had his documents, he won't give back the 1,850 boxes. and you're going to find some real gems in there.
But it was
so
Biden who
alerted
them that he had the documents. The National Archives reached out to you to get your documents back. Why did you not turn them over when you got a subpoena asking for you to turn them over?
We were negotiating with NARA.
But that's not what
Very
the
nice
Presidential
people,
Records Act says.
but they got to love our Constitution a little bit more. Richard Nixon, he had a lot of problems dealing with NARA, and they ended up passing legislation called the Presidential Records Act just for this kind of a thing. We were dealing with them. We were talking. Excuse me. Wait a minute. Wait. We were talking to them, but all of a sudden they raided the house. Now, why hasn't the FBI raided Biden?
But I just explained to you why. No. It's because he's the one, they alerted the government that they had those documents. Do you still have any classified documents in your possession?
No, I don't have anything. I have no classified documents. And by the way, they become automatically declassified when I took them. But
no,
why?
You have to declassify
Let me ask you a question. Why is it that Biden had 9 boxes in Chinatown? And he gets a lot of money from China. Why is that? And why aren't people?
Mr. President. No, you cannot
why
say
aren't
there
people
is no
bringing that
evidence
up?
of that, Mr.
And why don't they put this guy Jack Smith and his group of thugs? Why don't they put him in charge of that?
I need to stop you right there because there's no evidence of what you just said there. What you're referring to there is an office that he had after leaving the vice presidency investigation.
You're so wrong. You don't know the subject.
I do know the subject.
He had one at University of Pennsylvania, but he also had 9 boxes in Chinatown
that you're facing, which is the one that's happening in Georgia, where.
And by the way, he's not talking about Chinatown, just so you know.
They are investigating there your efforts to overturn the election results in the state of Georgia.
I did nothing wrong. It was a perfect phone call.
Let me finish my question. At the center of that is that call that you had with the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger.
Yeah, sure.
Given the fact that there are indictments expected to come in that case this summer, is that a call you would make again today?
Yeah, I called questioning the election. I thought it was a rigged election. I thought it had a lot of.
You see, more indictments to get Trump to look bad, and of course they hold on to all of this stuff. If you notice, it's all coming now because we're getting closer to the election, so they can either get Trump out or sway the voters' decisions on who they're going to vote for, and then they only talk about one side. Never talk about this stuff that Trump is bringing up. They're bringing it up, but he's clarifying it. This is what I'm talking about. It's horrible.
Problems.
You asked him to find you votes.
I didn't ask him to find anything.
We've heard the audio tape, Mr. President. There's an audio of you asking him to find you 11,000
votes. I said, you owe me
votes
because the election was rigged. That election was rigged. And if this call was bad, why didn't him and his lawyers hang up? How dare you say that? This was a perfect
Well, they were
phone
clearly
call.
concerned enough. They recorded the call, and I should note that, of course...
This was a call that was made to question the results of election. And when we can't make a call to question election results, then this country ought to just forget about it.
You weren't just questioning the election results.
I was
you were
questioning
asking
the
him
election.
to find you votes. And I should note that there is no evidence of fraud. There is no rigged election in the state of Georgia. I want to get back to the audience, though, Mr. President. Will you commit tonight to accepting the results of the 2024 election?
Yeah, if I think it's an honest election, absolutely, I would.
Will you commit to accepting the results of the election regardless of the outcome?
You want me to answer it again? If I think it's an honest election, I would be honored to.
See,
keep those ants,
he
spiders,
has to
and over
clarify
100 types of bugs
if
out of.
we don't think it's an
But no commitment there on the accepting the results regardless of the outcome.
If it's an honest election, correct, I will.
Okay, so not committing to accepting the 2024 election results or acknowledging what happened in 2020. President Trump, I want to thank you for coming here tonight. This is an important conversation. St. Anselm College, CNN's coverage continues with Anderson Cooper and Jake Tapper.
All right, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen, back here. So you can see the narrative that CNN and all the mainstream news, it's unfortunate because the average American that has a family to take care of, they go to work, they listen to the bigger news media networks, and they don't hear the other side of the story. And it's important to hear the other side. And that's the reason I was excited about Trump being on CNN, because even though I don't like CNN, people watch it. And it's good that he was able to get on there and just debunk a lot of this stuff. And there's so much more. He couldn't even say it all because she keeps interrupting him. You know, this is supposed to be a town hall, not an interrogation. And it's horrible that that's the way it's done. But anyway, I hope you like some of my comments. I hope you make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and support me wherever you can. I do have a possibility of trying to run for office as well. And so the bottom line, please support, like, share, anything you feel like you want to do, or nothing, it's totally fine. But I appreciate you for tuning in. I know this was long, a lot of information, but it needed to get out there, and I had to get it off my chest. With that said, I want to say thanks, and we'll talk to you on the next videos. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks a lot.